Hey guys and welcome, it's me Technicality here, and in this video I'm going to be going through a few Inferno smokes on CSGO. It's been a game that I've been playing a fair bit recently, getting a bit more into it again, so yeah, I just thought I'd share a few different smokes and nades and tactics that I tend to do when playing Inferno on B-site. Okay, so here we go then. So I'll just restart things. Yeah, there we go. So B-site nades that I like to use. So yeah, let's start with some CT smokes. Or some of the basic smokes. So what you want to know are smokes for coffin here and smokes for CT here. They're sort of the main ones that you want in order, because that's the main places that people will play. If not, they're either going to be first oranges, second oranges, new box, or dark. You know, you might have different names for these things, but these tend to be the places, or occasionally fountain, but that'll be pretty rare, to be quite honest. So I mean, if you can smoke off these positions, which also can be used for the rotate, it's obviously very beneficial. So the first one that I'll show is CT. So the CT smoke that I like to use is coming up to this sort of brick here, into that gap there, and then if you look at this smoke here, you want to be slightly to the left and just go up to the top of the smoke, and from there you just want to left click through that, which will then bounce off these sides of the walls, and the smoke will pop there. They can't see over the front of it at all. It's fairly easy to remember. It's fairly straightforward as well, just being a standing through. Yeah, that's that one. The one I like for coffins is just to push up against the wood here, and then you're going to be lining up with this knobbly bit here and that bit there. So you just want to come in between them, and it's just another simple left click through. So it's just going to bounce and nicely cut off everything. If people are stood on coffins, they can't see anything unless they're jumping. So yeah, overall, I mean, there's occasionally a slight gap. I mean, you could always just aim a little bit left if you wanted to counteract that, but I don't tend to find any issues with it. I think that's pretty decent. Another one that I occasionally do, this tends to be only when I'm doing the dark Molotov though, will be coming up here. So you want to come up onto here, be boosted up, or use the barrels. Obviously you need to watch out for anyone peeking here, as do you when you're at the wood over there, so if you have someone watching, that's always nice. And you want to push yourself up against the wall so that the broom is sort of just showing like that at the top. You want to crouch, aim just a tiny bit above that bit of scaffolding, and come over to the slight just right hand bit of this bit of tree here. So there, across to about there. Then you want to stand up and just left click through. And what this is going to do is it's going to go into the coffins, which sort of gives you a bit of a one-way coming from here. So you can obviously see their feet, but they're too high to be able to see anything from here. If they want to actually see you, they have to push out of the smoke into the open, which leaves them obviously more vulnerable. And if they're then obviously trying to rotate back, if they try and rotate back, you're still going to be able to see them after they've tried to retreat. So I quite like that one, and the reason why I would throw that one is when I'm up here, you've also got a dark Molotov as well. So from there, you will obviously line up the first one like that, crouch, aim there, throw that, go over here, aim at the top of this bit, and move across to there and just walk through. And then you smoked off that and Molotoved out dark. So either way, if anyone's playing in either of these positions, you'll either have them fall back or push out here, or have people over here pushing out to obviously avoid the Molotov. So it sort of helps you to know that once you've done that, aiming in sort of this general direction, you're going to be aiming towards where they are, which is always nice to know. Moving on to some other Molotovs. If we do oranges first, so I don't tend to molly second oranges because it's sort of like, it's very easy to do. It's like people rarely sit here, and if they do, if you'll just pull, you can quite easily just sort of lob in a molly somehow, however you feel you should, and just kill them that way. The place that I like to is sort of this spot, because I find that it can be quite annoying to just, when people hold that, you've got quite a nice crossfire with construction there. And also new box as well as dark, but I've already explained the Molotov for there. So for the first oranges, you want to aim into this circle in the wood. And then on this wall, you'll see there's a little bit of white. There's a white spot, and I just aim there and do a jump through. That'll bounce off the skybox, come down, and anyone stood in here will be burned. But the thing that I like about the molly, if I could get it into the same place, is the sense of how far out it spreads in all directions. So even when they're trying to leave the molly, they're going to be tagged for quite a while getting out. It's not like it's a molly that's hitting like here or something that they can literally quite easily just get away from. They're at the edge of the molly, so they have to rush through the entire molly to actually get to safety. And then new box, which I don't... Right, there's two mollies that I do for new box. If I'm just sort of going for a quick one, it's coming up anywhere against this wall until you see this bit at the top here. So no matter where you are, you can chuck that there, and that will just go over the top of the box and molly them out. Another one that I like to do is coming into here, pushing yourself up there, aiming. So if you look at where the house meets, you then go down and up, and there's sort of a bit where the up becomes level. You want to sort of just aim there, and then just do a jump through. And what that'll do is that'll molly out completely behind here. But obviously you can still sit there or be out this side. But it does clear out new box, making it a lot easier for you to do things. So that depends on what style of play we're going for. Like, are we going for a slow play where I don't particularly want to expose myself? Are we going slightly quicker and a bit more risky? Because basically you've got to weigh out the pros and cons of each one. Because for example, this is more risky, this one, but at the same time, the second that Molotov hits and they're running out, you're here to take that fight. And also, he can't come to the left side here. He has to push out to this right side, or push out right and forwards, but he'll obviously take more damage doing that. So you know you're going to be taking that fight. Whereas with this one, while it's safer to do, it sort of means at the same time that's popped when I'm stood here. Like, I'm not here to take that fight. By the time I've got here, he could be like basically behind that pillar already and stuff. Like, it just leaves a bit. It means that you can't actually take the fight of the guy that you're flushing out the position. So unless you've got a friend that's actually pushed out, ready to take that fight that you're communicating with, it's not as good. But obviously it's risk and reward. Throwing here, you're obviously exposed to dark, you're exposed to anyone pushing CT, anyone ruins. So as I say, it's up to you. Now moving on to CT, what I mainly do playing CT is me and my friend, whoever I'm with, will be throwing mollies to start with. So you'll want to be running up here. The first player throws a close molly, the second player throws a slightly further molly. So the first player can either bounce it off the wall there, or just straight up just throw it on the floor there. Pretty much does the same thing. and that stops anyone with the fast rush. And that accompanied by this deep molly, so someone who's just coming around just chucks it over the wall. Depending on where it lands, can either create a small gap here, of which obviously it's going to disjoint them and stop the rush, or the mollies will be connected up, at which point they're screwed and they'll have to push or try and fall back. So that together looks a bit like that. So they're sort of screwed when they're pushing up. So once you've thrown this molly, what you want to be doing is have at least one of you, if not both of you, sat here with guns out ready for a push. If you're feeling a bit more risky with one of you, or you actually trust the other person, you could have one person holding a push with a gun while the other person's got a nade and just chucks the nade. Because what this does is, if you've got a Molotov there and a Molotov there, and you nade in between, it's all about that spot in between that I was talking about. The person who might be stood here because like there's a bit of a gap will then just get a full face of a nade, which will basically automatically bring them down low because they'll be tagged up a little bit by the molly anyway. And then you've still got a friend there helping you with that. What I tend to do once the molly has extinguished is I'll just sort of sit sort of here and then throw a smoke. That was a pretty awful smoke because it got hit by the molly, but when the molly's disappearing, you'll just throw it against the wall and create a smoke wall there. And what I tend to do is not sit behind sandbags or at the corner. I sort of sit close to sandbags but sort of out in the open, because it's a bit of an off angle in the fact of they're not coming out of here. If they try and push the smoke or anything, they're not pushing aiming here. Like they're either going to push aiming sort of there or here, further across, and it's just like gives you that little bit of an advantage. And also if they do flash over, you can retreat this way and then take a bit of a later gunfight if you so wish. So there's that. If you like to go a bit more of a gamble and take a push, I like to sort of stand here and just throw a flash at a wall, so run and jump throw. But what you've got to watch out is if it does that. So as you can see, that sort of took a weird hit on the wall. There we go. So you've got that, which anyone who's, say, looking at car, or these wooden barrels, whatever you want to call them now, will be full flashed, and you can then either push up with that, so you'll be throwing that. You can either push here or out here. It depends on what you're wanting to check and how you're wanting to play it. But that's quite a nice pop flash that I like to use. If I'm back further on site, say I'm playing First Oranges, there's a couple that I like to play. So it'll be aiming towards the bottom of here and just sort of walking forwards and just left clicking it. So you do that. That's a nice little pop flash. What you've got to be careful with this one is anyone playing back here or playing sort of went a bit far, or anyone in here that coffins, because it's going to obviously full flash them, so you need to be communicating with your team on that one. It'll also flash anyone playing CT. They'll obviously get the full front of that as well. So another one that I like to play, if I know that they're sort of planning on pushing but haven't pushed out yet, will be exposing me a little bit more, but just chuck it into pull, because that doesn't flash any of your teammates other than anyone sort of playing boosted up. But also anyone on the T side, while they'll be able to see it, they'll all have their backs turned, and you can peek out with the flash, so while they're all turned the other way. So it's quite a strong flash, even though it may not seem it. It's just quite a tactical thing to play. Moving on to new box. So this line on the floor, you want to push yourself up against it, and then sort of this mark on the wall, just aim there, and then just, I believe it's just a left click throw. Yep, there we go. And that's just a nice little flash over the top that flashes on there. So anyone that's holding the angle peeking to try and hold you will be fully blinded. Anyone holding anywhere new box related will be fully blind from that. So that's a really powerful flashbang to throw, because they won't see that until right at the last minute, and they won't be able to react to that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've sort of talked about everywhere. Coffins, I don't tend to play coffins. It's quite a nice place if you're just here with an AWP, just playing it. I tend to leave that to my teammate, because, I mean, especially if you're playing with just a random person, they tend to like playing coffins or CT. I don't tend to play them places unless I'm boosted up. At which point, you've got a pretty standard play. You're sort of holding here or boost. You're sort of, if I can just get there, nice. Sort of just waiting for that smoke, and you're going to be trying to either hold pull or hold the push onto site. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I must admit it's taken a bit longer than I thought it was going to take. But yeah, so leave a like if you enjoyed. Oh, T flashes, I nearly forgot. I don't really know any T flashes. What I tend to do is chuck it over the back here, or more over there high, so that it flashes anyone on site, but also while your teammate's pushing in off of it, they're not going to get flashed by it at all. That's basically all there is to that. I tend to just try and flush people out and take the one-on-one gunfights with them in the open. But yeah, it just depends what you feel like playing. So yeah, it's been me, Technicality here. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content, CS and first-person shooter related, I guess. And yeah, I will see you in a bit. Peace.